Hi, this is our third video of the Lord of the Rings novel study questions. We're going to start off with Chapter 9, Barrel Out of Bond. Question number one, where did the Wood Elves take their captives? The Wood Elves escorted their prisoners to the palace of the Elven King for interrogation. Question number two, how did the dwarves react to their interrogation by the Elven King? The dwarves became surly and angry and refused to reveal their destination or their purpose of their journey. Question number three: what does the Elven King order his men to do? Angered by the dwarves' refusal to talk, he orders that they be taken to the dungeon and be placed in separate cells until at least one of them reveals their plans. Question number four: how did Bilbo learn that Thorin was being kept captive in the dungeon? Bilbo had worn the disappearing ring since the day the dwarfs had been captured, and he was free to tour the palace without being detected. One day he overheard a guard talking about another dwarf in the prison, so Baggins immediately surmised that it must have been Thorin. Question number five: who played a key role in the escape of the dwarves from the prison? Bilbo once again played a pivotal role in rescuing the dwarves from their predicament. And question number six: briefly describe their final departure from the palace. They hid in barrels and went down the river in them. Chapter 10, A Warm Welcome. Question number one: describe the scene as Bilbo approaches the region where the trees ended. The Hobbit noticed the lonely mountain in the distance, and he was struck by its ominous dark peak rising into the clouds. Question number two: describe the strange town at the mouth of the Forest River. The town was built on piles away from the shore. It was protected from the swirling river by a promontory rock, which also formed a safe harbor. To reach it, one must cross a great wooden bridge stretching from the shore to the town of Wood on the water. Question number three: what strange creatures inhabited the town? Those were human beings. Question number four: why did the guards at the lake town not keep a very careful watch? There wasn't really any need, as they were on friendly terms with the elves, and anyone else that might have posed a threat lived far away. Question number five: why were the raftmen elves so astonished at the appearance of the dwarfs? The elves did not realize that the dwarfs had escaped, and they were quick to accuse them of sneaking through their woods and annoying the other elves. Question number six: why does the master relinquish his own great chair to Thorin, despite the fact that he is not completely convinced that the dwarf is who he claims to be? Although somewhat dubious about the visitor's claims, the master is overwhelmed by the excitement of the townspeople, and like any good politician, he decides for the moment to obey the clamor and at the very least pretend to believe in Thorin's claims. Question number seven: how appropriate is the title of the chapter? If anything, the title is modest in its appraisal of the townspeople's welcome. Question number eight: how did the Elven King respond to the news of the dwarf's plans to slay the dragon Smog and capture his treasure? He doubted it and thought they were going to die. If they somehow succeeded, he would just take the treasure from them. Question number nine: who was the only person thoroughly unhappy the day of the departure? Well, the only person was Bilbo. Chapter 11, On the Doorstep. Question number one: why did the men of the town refuse to stay overnight where the dwarves disembarked? They were afraid of the dragon, and even the disbelievers suddenly had a change of heart when they found themselves so near the shadow of the mountain. Question number two: describe their surroundings as the adventurers moved nearer to the mountain. Eventually, all the greenery disappeared, and in its place was burnt and broken stumps that were created by the dragon around its lair. Question number 3. What dwarf informs Bilbo that he was in the dale the day the dragon attacked? Balbin recounts how he and Thorin escaped as they were both in the dale when the dragon attacked on that fateful day. Question number 4. What did Bilbo and his companions see on their scouting expedition? While traveling through the bleak and barren countryside, they observed a dark cavernous opening from which the running river flowed. Question number 5. Explain how Bilbo begins to take a leadership role in their quest. While the other dwarves were in low spirits, Bilbo surprisingly began to assume the leadership role amongst all the travelers. Question number 6. How does Bilbo finally unlock the riddle and the secret door? Bilbo is reminded of the riddle when he hears the thrush attempting to crack the snail against the stone. The Hobbit immediately summons Thorin to open the secret door with his key. Chapter 12, Inside Information. Question number 1. How did the dwarves respond when Bilbo asked for volunteers to accompany him into the mountain? Other than Balin, none of the dwarves offered to join Bilbo, and even Balin he set restrictions on how far he was willing to go. Question number 2. What took Bilbo's breath? Surprisingly, it was not Bilbo's first glimpse of the dragon that took away his breath, but rather the immense splendor of Smaug's immeasurable amount of treasure. Number 3, describe the dragon. Smaug is described as a most specially greedy, strong, and wicked worm. Massive, dangerous, possessive, and terrible. He lives alone in the lonely mountain, and his only purpose is to guard the treasure he stole from the dwarves during the reign of Thorin's grandfather. Question number 4. What did Bilbo carry back to the dwarves? Bilbo stole a large two-handled cup from the dragon's hoard and showed it to the delighted dwarves. Question number 5. How do we know that Smaug kept close tabs on his treasure? Upon wakening, the dragon noticed almost immediately that the cup was missing and that was amazing since it was only one thing out of his massive amount of treasure. 6. What analogy does the author use when describing the dragon's rage? Tolkien resorts to social commentary, comparing the dragon's anger to a rich person who loses something they have never used before or even wanted, yet suddenly they fly into a rage over its loss. Question number 7. What indication is there that Bilbo is turning into a real leader? Bilbo is not only becoming more assertive, but truly maturing into a leader as he has become far more innovative with his ideas and his plans. What can no dragon resist? Fortunately for Bilbo, no dragon can resist the fascination of riddles. Question number 9. What was Bilbo pleased to see when he tricked the dragon into displaying his underside? Bilbo was pleased to see that despite his protective covering, Smaug had one vulnerable bare spot above his left breast. Number 10. Why does Bilbo regret his comment about the Barrel Rider to Smaug? Calling himself Barrel Rider, told Smaug that the Lake Men of Esgaroth were involved in the affair somehow and caused his wrath to be unleashed on them. Question number 11. Why does Bilbo throw a stone at the thrush? He thought that the thrush was spying on him. Number 12. How did the band of adventurers become trapped in the mountain? Thorin, with the help from others, shut the door, leaving no trace of the keyhole. But to add to their troubles, Smaug caused an avalanche, trapping them in the mountain.